Greetings, fellow Gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru.
And I'm Count Jackula.
And today we're going to talk about Infinity Pool, the latest film by Brandon Cronenberg, the Nepo baby of David Cronenberg, who you may know as the director of
Antiviral
and The Possessor. Two fantastic films that definitely picked up where his father left off in the 90s and just kind of ran with it. And this film is continuing that trend of Brandon Cronenberg making very David Cronenberg-esque films, but in his own way.
Yeah, Brandon Cronenberg's deal seems to be he's more focused on identity itself, which is not alien territory for the David Cronenberg, but the David Cronenberg was much more interested in decrepitude and disease things like that. A Brandon Cronenberg movie tends to bring up questions of, why do we do this?
Yeah.
You know, to which he doesn't really come up with an answer. He just sort of seems, isn't this kind of a fucked up thing we do?
Yeah.
You know, why do we do that?
And speaking of fucked upness, this movie should come with all of the warnings. It is a very brutal and fucked up movie filled with violence, sexual depravity, and all around good fun.
It's definitely one of those movies where it's like our world with one difference.
Yes, it is a science fiction horror thriller style movie, but the science fiction element I think is best not to know going in.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spoil for you what the actual premise of the movie is, but I will tell you things around it to get you an idea of what the movie's like. This movie is essentially about a writer who's working on his second novel who goes on vacation with his rich wife, and while on vacation ends up falling in with this rather crazy rich person crowd that's kind of like equal parts the rich people from the Hunger Games mixed in with the kids from A Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
And they end up taking him on these crazy, depraved journeys. And essentially, the movie itself is kind of about how rich people exploit these poor areas that they vacation at.
Yep.
But it's taking it in a very fucked up, psychological, sci-fi horror direction.
Yeah, because this whole thing is really based on Brandon Cronenberg going on to one of these resorts and then just kind of the entire time being like, this is fucked up.
Yeah. The entire movie's a critique on poverty tourism.
Yeah.
It's about a lot of other things because it's got characters that are going through their individual journeys. But at the end of the day, this is a movie that's a big FU to rich people and the way they treat poor countries.
Yes.
And also how they can get away with whatever they want in those countries because they're rich and powerful.
Yep.
But saying that doesn't really tell you exactly what this movie has in store for you because it's weird. It's really weird. It's a bit of a drug trip, and you find yourself at times wondering what's real and what's not.
One of the movies that actually reminded me the most of was actually not a David Cronenberg movie, but Ken Russell flick, which is Altered States.
Yes.
It reminded me a lot of Altered States.
Altered States with a little bit of Clockwork Orange thrown in, just with some of its weird, trippy visuals and how fucked up it gets.
Yeah.
Once you get through everything and you kind of figure out what was real and what wasn't, it has a very clear narrative from start to finish. It's not completely ambiguous.
The point of the movie is not ambiguous. What is going through the main character's head by the end of the movie is a little ambiguous.
Yeah, because the main character kind of has this journey of kind of discovering how he may be rich person adjacent because his wife's rich, but he will never truly be one of those people, no matter how hard he tries to fit in with them, and no matter how low he depraves himself in order to get in their good graces.
Right, exactly. You could tell this is autobiographical.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and we do mean depraved. I don't use that word lightly.
This group of rich people goes from kind of odd to what the fuck are you doing really fast?
Super goddamn fast. The main characters you have Alexander Skarsgård, who plays the writer. Alexander Skarsgård being Eric Northman from True Blood. But the person who really steals the show in this movie is she's kind of the romantic interest and the antagonist at the same time.
Yeah, the femme fatale, Mia Goth.
Yeah, is played by Mia Goth, who you may know from Pearl and X. X. But in this movie, she's using her natural British accent. So she's the rabbit in Alice in Wonderland, leading him deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
The more fucked up it gets, the more she pushes him towards.
Actually, in many ways, she's a little more like both the Cheshire Cat and the Queen of Hearts.
Yes. Well, that's the thing. She starts off as the rabbit and kind of evolves.
She kind of evolves as they continue down this path.
In the middle part of the movie, she's the Cheshire Cat. By the end of it, she's the Queen of Hearts, right?
Yeah.
You know? Off with his head. She steals this whole movie. She is amazing. Once again, Mia Goth has proven to be the best thing of anything she's in. Yeah. Same thing with X, same thing with Pearl, same thing with Infinity Pool.
Yeah, and like... she's up against pretty good competition.
Oh, yeah, she is.
Fucking Skarsgård in this one.
Skarsgård's great because Skarsgård's playing against type in this movie.
Yeah, he is not a cool dude.
No, he's not a cool dude. He's not a hero. He's not a mysterious, sexy man. He's kind of a doofus.
Yeah.
Who's like stoic only because he's very introverted and like shy.
Yeah.
And he plays it so goddamn well. Like the way he smiles.
Yes.
Like the subtle touch of his smile and how goofy he looks when he does it. You compare that to like him as Eric Northman and the sexy smiling he does in that.
Yeah.
And it's like night and day, you know?
Yeah, it is. And Mia Goth is amazing. She has the role that is just scene chewing.
Yes.
She has the scene chewing role, and it's fantastic.
And the rest of the supporting cast is great too, but these are the two that are the shining stars.
Yeah, this is the center of the movie is these two characters.
Mm-hmm. Mia Goth continues to be on a one-woman crusade to make sure that all movies in the modern day have fucked up sex scenes, and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Now, I can talk about this without getting into too much spoilers because this doesn't actually get into the more sci-fi elements of the story, but she does like lure him into things like drugged out orgies.
Yeah.
And we're talking drugged out orgies with like people drinking milk from each other's nipples and shit.
Yeah.
Like it's like there are times where it's sexy and there's times where it's grotesque.
Where it's gross. It'll cross that line the same shot.
Yeah. Like the moment you start to watch it and you're like, huh, this is I'm getting into this. Then all of a sudden something will happen. You'll be like, oh, geez, all right.
Whoa.
Boner kill.
Yeah.
No way. Yeah, I really dug the hell out of this movie. Brendan Cronenberg continues to show that he is just as good as his dad ever was. And his dad has recently proved with Crimes of the Future that he's still got it. He's still on
top of it.
So we now live in a world where we got two Cronenbergs out here doing crazy, fucked up body horror shit with social commentary, and I'm here for it.
I will say this, though. I love the fact that you can kind of tell that the main character is Brandon Cronenberg.
Yeah.
And that the one novel that he has written that nobody watched was probably Antiviral.
Yeah.
Antiviral is the one about people like eating the flesh of celebrities.
Yeah. It's a pretty messed up movie. It's great. It's fantastic. I recommend both Antiviral and Possessor. And now I recommend Infinity Pool. As a great triplet of movies.
I'd say the guy's got a career ahead of him, but he's got a career now at this point.
Oh, yeah, he does. He does. And I think it's about time we move on to the spoiler section because it's kind of hard to talk about the nitty-gritty of this movie without getting into the elements that I don't want to tell you in the pre-spoiler section. So Infinity Pool is currently available on multiple streaming platforms to rent or buy. I would recommend renting or buying it if you're at all interested in it. Trust me, it is 100% worth it. And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, let us move on to the spoilers.
The movie does ask that you suspend your disbelief.
Oh, yeah.
To a really high degree with one thing, which is what the MacGuffin of this fucking plot is.
Basically, what the main character discovers when he accidentally runs over a local in the town next to the resort that they are staying at. This country has a policy where if you kill someone in this world, in this country, that person's child has the right to kill you. It's very eye for an eye, super religious country.
Yeah.
But they have an exception where if you are rich enough, you can pay to have a clone of yourself made that's identical to you with all your memories, and that one can be a stand-in and die instead of yourself. But you also have to watch yourself die when it happens.
Yeah.
And once the main character discovers this and goes through it once, it becomes a high that he cannot, run away from. He must get that high again. And so he ends up falling in with this rich people led by Mia Goth's character, who come to this resort every year.
Specifically to do crimes, have a clone made, and then kill them.
Exactly. And so basically, once this is all figured out, the rest of the movie is them running around like the kids from A Clockwork Orange, and then obviously the next day the cops arrest them and then their clones are murdered. And then they go on and they continue to do more depraved shit the next day. And this is all good fun for these rich people, but it becomes less fun for the main character when it becomes clear that these rich people are essentially fucking with him.
Yeah.
They don't actually see him as one of them. They see him as another one of their pawns that they're playing with.
Yeah.
They convince him that they've kidnapped this guy, bring him back to the resort, and he beats the shit out of him, obviously with the intention of ultimately killing him, and they're going to get away with it because, of everything that goes on. But he realizes, because Mia Goth removes the mask that they put on the guy after beating the shit out of him and putting him near death, that it's actually a clone of himself that he's beating up.
Yeah.
This is his breaking point. This is the moment where the inner self confronts the outer self and now he can't handle it.
Yeah.
And this is when he starts to become at odds with the other people in the group, as they start increasingly making him do more fucked up things and not letting him leave. There's a point in which he literally decides that he's gonna go. He's gonna get his passport and fly the fuck out of there. And they basically chase him down with a gun and force him to get off the bus.
Yeah.
And shoot him and then chase him down into a fucking barn and then make him kill a version of himself that they've trained to be a dog. Now, I'm assuming they didn't train him to be a dog. I'm guessing they put a dog's brain inside
or
they
spent a lot of time breaking it down,
which
off screen.
Which I'm just I don't know how long they were at this to do this, but
there's a lot of effort one way or another.
By the end of the movie, he does everything they want him to do, and he reaches the point where he can go home, and they're all going home to their normal lives, and they're just immediately transitioning back to being their normal selves.
They're just being normal, rich people.
But he, at the airport, essentially turns around, goes back to the resort, and just stays at the resort during the rainy season when no one's there, with the implication being that he can't go back. Unlike them, he cannot go back to his normal life, number one. And number two, he is never actually going to be one of these people.
Yeah.
He's never going to be good enough.
Yeah. And so the ambiguity is this a sad moment, or is this a moment where he's like, fuck that, fuck all this?
Yeah.
Is he actually breaking free? Or
exactly.
Is he trapped?
Yeah, there's a lot of open to interpretation at the end. And it's a really great, oh shit, which is it moment at the movie.
Yeah.
But none of the ways you interpret the ending changes the journey to get there.
Correct.
It's a really messed up movie. But man, did I love it.
Yeah, oh man, it's a trip. Look, if you watch multiple movies in the day, this is going to be the last one you watch. Because you're just going to be
pack it in. You're done for the day.
We're done.
You're done for
We're
the
done.
day.
That is so much movie.
It's not so much of a mindfuck that you can't understand what's happening in the movie, but it's definitely a heavy movie.
Yeah, it puts you through the ringer.
Yeah, exactly. By the end of the movie, you feel like you've been just as fucking beat up as the main character has.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
By everything.
Yeah, there are two other movies that I've seen that actually made me feel more bludgeoned than this one, and that's Martyrs and The Woman.
Yeah, fair.
Fair. I'm I love
those
both
are very
of those
similar movies.
I left both of those feeling like I was actually kind of dizzy and whoa.
Yeah.
Did I just step in a boxing ring? What happened?
I would 100% agree. It's definitely on that level.
Yeah. I'm just oh my god. But I'm I think I might just be getting a little used to it. You know?
Now, one of the fun things about watching this movie is that you spend a huge chunk of the movie. Okay, it doesn't really change the story at all, but you do find yourself wondering while you're watching the movie whether or not they are truly their original selves, or if they're actually their doubles.
They are the clones.
And that
you never know.
And there's that question of well, if they are they losing their humanity every time they're cloned? Like, there's all these, like, cool little elements that doesn't change the story too much and just kind of adds on to.
Yeah, it adds on to the confusion.
And the questions the movie's asking.
Yeah.
You know? I can't believe he made an entire movie that's essentially a plot based entirely on the twist from The Prestige.
Yes. Yeah, and that's just the whole plot.
That's the whole plot.
Whole plot.
I actually think that this might be his best movie yet, and he's knocked it out of the park with every movie.
Oh, geez, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I would agree. This is probably his best.
Mm-hmm.
Like, before this, like, the thing I liked about Possessor is it is a nice little thriller plot with a weird sci-fi twist.
Yeah.
You know, it's an existence.
Yeah.
You know? And it was like, yeah, that's really good. But it's not that hard to decipher, and it's a weird premise, but you're already a little there. You're already kinda halfway there. Antiviral was basically taking something that is so common we don't even think about it and taking it to this insane extreme. Like, what's the most insane version of celebrity worship I could think of? Well, if I had to get the exact same strain of the flu that person currently has in order to feel a connection with them, I don't know how much farther you can actually go than that.
I also like that all three movies have this reoccurring theme of class.
Yeah.
And trying to be in a class you're not.
Yeah.
And like the way like the system and people don't allow you to change that.
Well, yeah, and if you're a Canadian filmmaker, I can imagine you are in a particularly sweet spot in order to observe that.
Oh yeah.
Because that is probably a large chunk of your life. You're dealing with these like mega rich people just to get money so you can do an art project.
Well, absolutely. I also feel like a movie like this, in particular this one, the other two probably could have been made by another person, but this one feels like it needed to be made by someone like a Brandon Cronenberg. I hate to say I hate to say it this way, a Nepo baby, because
yeah.
Because it's literally about someone who's on that cusp of being part of that rich upper class, but isn't quite there.
Yeah.
And could be,
but isn't. Yeah. Well, yeah, because like that's a line his dad straddled.
I do love that visual image at the very end of the movie. It's a very simple scene of them all on the bus. He's sitting in the back. They're all in like the front few seats.
Yeah.
And it's framed so you can see all of them. You can see them sitting here and you can see him all the way in the back. And he's a great deal of seats away. So there's like a distance between him and them.
Yeah.
And they're all now transitioning back to their normal, non-crazy selves. Just talking about, oh, we're going to redecorate the house. Oh, yeah, we're going to go back to work. Oh, yeah, got to get back to the stocks. You know, it's like, you know, normal rich people shit. And he's sitting in the back, not only unable to connect with them, he can no longer transition back.
Yeah.
Whatever he was before this resort, that's gone.
Yep.
It reminds me a lot of the, this is a weird one. It reminds me a lot of the ending of The Graduate when they're like,
oh yeah,
that moment when they're in the car and after celebrating and they both like calm down and there's that like look of dread on both of them.
Yeah. We're like, oh shit, now what? You know?
That's what him and the bus reminded me of.
And much like The Graduate, it does have that, well, now what? Mm-hmm. You know, well, now what? And,
well, there's no way he was going to go back to his normal marriage after that. Like, she knows everything he's been doing, so.
Yeah.
And she was not cool with it.
Oh, no, not at all.
So that's not going to happen.
Yeah, like, that whether or not that marriage is over, that relationship is over.
The only thing he could possibly get out of this is a crazy book idea.
Yeah.
For his second book.
Only thing he's got. Yeah.
God, this is a great movie. Infinity Pool. Look it up. Ask for it by name.
Treat yourself.
And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, where can they find you, Count Jackula?
Look, you can find me on Twitch, Count_Jackula. You can also find me on Twitter at CountingJack. You can also find me on Instagram at SatanicJackula. And you should follow me on all those things. What about you?
Y'all know me, I'm the Horror Guru. You can find me at the Horror Guru on Twitter, on Twitch, on Instagram and Facebook, and even Mastodon. That's the other one. Even on Mastodon. Just look up the Horror Guru or Blood Splattered Cinema and I'll be there. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so that you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. And if you'd like to help out either of us more directly, be sure to check out our Patreon pages, and remember, if you decide to go the Patreon route, even $1 a month can go a long way. And trust us, we could use those dollars. So if you have any inclination to support us, please go there and do so.
Please do. Yeah.
And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, if you made it this far into the vlog, then I want you to comment below, and be sure to comment below using the hashtag #KillTheDog. Use the hashtag #KillTheDog. That way I know. That way Jack knows. That way the whole world knows you watched this vlog all the way through. And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, we're going to follow up this vlog with another vlog about sex and violence.
Yeah.
So
this is season.
Stay tuned for that.
My favorite scene is probably Mia Goth on the hood of that car.
Oh my God. On the hood of the car with the fried chicken next to her.
Yeah.
Just reading his bad reviews. You're so vain. That scene is magnificent. It's a great scene that really establishes just like, no, you were never going to be part of these people, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
Peace out, and I'll catch y'all later.